All right, so in response to the Syrian government using chemical weapons against innocent men, women, and children last night, well, President Trump ordered the launch of Tomahawk cruise missiles to destroy the air base where this attack was carried out from. Now, in doing so, the commander-in-chief is sending a resounding message to you, the American people, and the entire world. America's back. Syria, North Korea, Iran, Russia, China, and the rest of the entire world saw a very different United States of America last night. Instead of weakness, we now have strength. Instead of appeasement, capitulation, we now have decisiveness and leadership. Timidity has been replaced by bold action. Now, this is a far different cry from that of the Obama administration. You want to see how profound this difference is? Just take a look at Syria. Remember back in 2012 when then President Obama, remember he drew the red line in the sand with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, and this is what he said way back then. Take a look.
We have communicated in no uncertain terms with every player in the region that that's a red line for us and that there would be enormous consequences if we start seeing movement on the chemical weapons front or the use of chemical weapons. That would change my calculations significantly.
All right, as we all know, Assad crossed that line, and what did President Barack Hussein Obama do? Absolutely nothing. Then what's even worse, that in 2014, the Obama administration was out there bragging about how they worked with Russia to get rid of all of Syria's chemical weapons. Watch this.
We were able to find a solution that actually removed the chemical weapons that were known from Syria in a way that the use of force would never have accomplished.
Russia has been constructive in helping to remove 100% of the declared chemical weapons from Syria. In fact, that was an agreement we made months ago, and it never faltered even during these moments of conflict.
People may criticize us for not having launched missiles against Assad after chemical weapons had been used, but keep in mind why we didn't. We didn't because they got rid of the chemical weapons. And that, in fact, was very important.
President Obama, John Kerry, Susan Rice all said the same thing. Assad had gotten rid of all his chemical weapons, but guess what? They were all dead wrong. Now, unlike his predecessor, President Trump, he acted swiftly, decisively to stop the Syrian regime from using chemical weapons ever again. And by the way, here's our final thought. The Obama administration, remember the horrible deal they made with Iran? They claim that, in fact, it'll prevent the rogue regime in Tehran, the mullahs of Tehran, from developing a nuclear weapon. Here's a question to ponder. What if they're wrong about that, like they were wrong about Syria and Assad getting rid of their chemical weapons? Joining us now with reaction, conservative commentator, our friend Monica Crowley, former spokesman for the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Rick Grinnell. Rick, let's just ponder that question for a second. What if they told the world that they drew a red line and they didn't act because Assad got rid of his chemical weapons? Well, we saw on Tuesday they didn't get rid of their chemical weapons. What if the deal they made with Iran that they say will prevent them from getting nuclear weapons, well, let's say they're wrong there too, which would not surprise me.
Look, it's very troublesome. I think that we have to see the full Iran deal right now. It's imperative that Secretary Rex Tillerson release this Iran deal. Let's look at it because we need to be able to check. What we now know is that we've been hoodwinked. The previous administration trusted Russia, they trusted the UN, they trusted Assad to say how much chemical weapons that he actually had. You can't trust that. Remember the old adage, you have to verify.
Trust but verify.
You can start by trusting, but you must verify. And we haven't verified the information. We certainly haven't verified the information in Iran. We know that they're actually cheating, and the Obama administration looked the other way while they were breaking the new agreement. So I think we need to get a hold of this agreement and verify.
And, Monica, that's the point. I mean, he said with such certainty, Obama and Kerry and Susan Rice, they all said with such certainty that, in fact, Assad got rid of all these chemical weapons, and they're bragging about it, and they're talking about how their appeasement policies actually worked, and they drew the red line, and they did nothing. Okay, well, we know the Iranian deal is this bad, that we have billions of dollars that we transferred so they can continue spinning those centrifuges. And, of course, if you ever marry radical Islamic terrorism and radical mullahs with weapons of mass destruction, that is a prescription for a modern-day Holocaust on a scale that would make Tuesday look like nothing, as horrific and evil as that was.
That's exactly right, Sean. I mean, look, you had this statement from the Obama team that they were able, through diplomacy, to eliminate the Syrian chemical weapons stockpile. We now know that is not true. So that's a huge Obama legacy fail and a crisis that now President Trump is tasked with cleaning up. But as you point to, Iran is the linchpin of the Middle East. It's actually the linchpin of global war and peace. Iran is the most powerful and influential terrorist state. Once it is equipped with nuclear weapons, all bets are off. So what President Trump did in the last 24 hours was send a message, yes, to the Russians and Assad and the North Koreans and the Chinese, but primarily this was a shot across the bow to Tehran.
But Monica, think about this. I mean, the media paid very little attention to President Trump meeting with President al-Sisi of Egypt and what a great relationship they seem to have, or King Abdullah of Jordan just this week, and what a great relationship they seem to have. That's when he made his statement that this crossed many, many red lines. And add to that meeting the Crown Prince, a reset of the relationship with Prime Minister Netanyahu and this emerging alliance against Iranian hegemony in the region. This is a very different world order emerging, where it seems to be the North Koreans, the Iranians, the Syrians, and Russia isolated from the rest of the world.
Well, that's right. And what President Trump has demonstrated here, Sean, is that when the United States exercises power and leadership, our allies follow. And the fantasy of the international community and the fantasy of the United Nations, then the lie is put to all of that. Because when the United States exercises our leadership in the world, we know that then our allies are reassured and our enemies are put on notice, which is something that's been sorely missing for the last 8 years. Our Sunni Arab allies, you mentioned Jordan, the Saudis, the Egyptians, they have all been incredibly supportive of the action that we have taken in Syria. They have been parched. They have been thirsting for American leadership. Israel as well. And this was a tremendous signal to them as well, that now the United States has their backs, and the American enemies around the world, you're put on notice that this president will take action and will be unafraid to do so.
Rick, we have about 15 minutes. In many ways, I think this new alliance was created by Obama making this horrific Iranian deal.
Yeah, look, it's been a problem. We keep hearing about it throughout the region. I actually am a little encouraged that the calculus is now changed. Right now, what we need is diplomacy with muscle. We have to be able to bring in the Turks. Let's not forget they're a NATO ally. They are extremely happy with what Donald Trump has done. We've got the Egyptians, the Jordanians, all of those that Monica just listed. Now is the time to bring people together and try to see if we can remove Assad peacefully. I think this is a real moment, and we should seize it.
Well, I think this new alliance, in many ways, created by Obama's weakness, and I think the new president certainly has an opportunity here that may not have existed for decades. But I appreciate both of you being with us.